So we know you're bisexual, and we also know you're Jewish.
Yeah.
Do you follow the Jewish religion?
Not at all.
And because?
Because that's when, so you're talking about when I knew I was gay.
Yeah.
I definitely knew from a child that I didn't believe in God.
Oh.
Even though well, no, I wouldn't put it that way. It's not that I knew I didn't believe in God. I never remember, lots of people...
Don't filter yourself, tell the truth.
So there's lots of people who talk about the moment when they realized that there was, they go to religious school and they believe it and they believe it and they believe... Well, I went to religious school as well. Mm-hmm. From the time I was very young till the time I was like 13 or 14, and I'm very interested in the culture that I come from, but I never remember at all believing in God. Okay. There wasn't a moment I was like, oh, there's no God. It was like, I never believed it to begin with. Mm-hmm. But I am very proud of my culture as a Jew, and that's where it stops.
So going back to you being married,
yeah,
you said that you closed yourself off. Why would someone, in your opinion, why would someone not identify as bisexual?
I always said it, but I guess this gets on to something more than just sexuality, is I said, okay, I'm now with a woman, I must be monogamous with this woman.
Do you believe in monogamy?
I don't really anymore.
So,
well, I never really did, but most people do. And so, both in the marriage and in the long relationship, mm-hmm. It was expected that I be monogamous. That didn't really work for me.
So you like to explore what the universe has given us?
You could put it that way. It's not like I'm someone who sleeps around. Mm-hmm. I actually, as much as I'm quite happy to talk about all things sexual, I don't probably have sex as much as a lot of other people
do.
Yeah. But if I'm with someone who I'm happy with, mm-hmm. my desire to have sex with other people probably does diminish to a certain extent, mm-hmm. depending on how happy and how satisfied I am with that person.
Okay.
But there still will be some desire, and as soon as the relationship does not go that well, then the desire to go somewhere else is going to become pretty strong.
Freud believed, you know who Freud is, right?
I do indeed.
Great, because I only mix with smart people. Freud believed that Homo sapiens were born bisexual. Studies, however, since Freud's death have suggested otherwise. What are your thoughts?
What do you mean he said that because uh-huh. I once went to see a Freudian therapist uh-huh. when I was breaking up with my wife, mm-hmm. and I was having a very bad time.
Yeah.
And she, at one point, so I went through a moment of being quite depressed, mm-hmm. and she actually did help me quite a bit and kind of taking hold of some things. And then one day I came in and I said that I was very happy that day because I had a new boyfriend.
Okay.
And she looked at me and she said, as a Freudian analyst, mm-hmm. I'm obliged to tell you that that's sick, that that's not healthy to, and I said, what do you mean? She said, it's that homosexuality was a sickness that could be cured, but that I shouldn't, at that point I stopped listening, so to be honest, I don't even know what the fuck she said, and I never saw her again. So it surprises me. I mean, I've read some Freud, not a lot, just like a bit at uni for some class that was, but it would surprise me, and I never remember him, what I read of him, I do remember him more or less saying that homosexuality was a neurosis of some kind that could be cured. I don't know. But maybe I've read wrong. I mean, I don't know.
What an awkward situation when the interviewee challenges the interviewer. Why are bisexuals so invisible?
I don't know about invisible, but in terms of, you're right, both communities, both... Yes, so the straight women who I've dealt with will often basically say, yeah, if you're bisexual, you're greedy, you know, and will assume that you are non-monogamous. Now, that happens to be true, but, you know, there were times I was trying to be monogamous, and I said, look, if I'm happy with... I mean, there was a time I was with one girlfriend for about a year who I really loved. I mean, she's probably the person I loved the most in my life.
Yeah.
And during that year, I had sex with her all the time. It was really good. I really enjoyed being with her, and I didn't even really think about going outside of that. Well, I did a little bit, let's be honest. But in general, I was very happy being with her.
Yeah.
But women, or straight women, will always, almost always assume that if you're a bisexual man, you're gonna sleep around with, not just like maybe have another, you're gonna sleep around with lots of other women and lots of other men. And then gay men will just say, oh, you haven't made up your mind.
Or, no, you're just gay, you just haven't come to
Right, yeah, right, you haven't accepted it yet. And I've even had, like, you know, off some of these apps where you kind of like meet guys. One guy, when I said I was bisexual, he's like, you know, we'd been chatting, and he's like, he wanted to see me and da-da-da. And when I said I was bisexual, it was like, nope, don't want to see you.
What kind of apps do you use?
Grindr, Growler, Scruff, Tinder.
You hear that?
All the ers.
All the ers. Hey, T.S. Madison.
T.S. Madison, what's that?
She's a transgender internet sensation.
Okay.
And she mentions all of those. Do you go on Christian Mingle?
No. Oh, I mean, all of these apps, I mean, that's completely outside of any question of sexuality. I mean, these I'm a little bit older, so I mean, I use them because I do realize that in today's society, it's harder to just meet people. And also, as I said earlier, I'm not the kind of aggressive, forward, I'm never going to go into a bar and like hit on people. But the way I used to meet people was, you know, you have friends and friends of friends, and you go to a party or a dinner and da-da. Well, okay, so I can try and use these apps as well, but they are a little bit disappointing sometimes.
Okay. How many sexually transmitted diseases have you got? If ever. As
far as I know, I've never had one.
Okay, so you saying that, I'm going to go back to the Daily Mail, which they posted on their online articles. They said that 19.5 bisexual men said that their sexual health was very poor, and 18.5 bisexual women said that their sexual health was quite poor. Clearly you've said that you've not had any STDs, but what do you think about other people in general that may be bisexual?
So, first of all, I think that has nothing to do with you being bisexual or not. I think it's not like I've never done anything stupid in my life. I have. And I grew up, I mean, I'm 47, I was a teenager in the mid to late 80s when
HIV and AIDS.
Well, yeah, AIDS. I'm used to saying, everyone corrects me, no, it's HIV. I'm like, I grew up, it was AIDS. It was AIDS. So I grew up with it as I was becoming a sexual being. And I have done a couple stupid things, and I was fucking lucky that I never got anything. And I won't say that I haven't done a couple stupid things since, but in general, I'm very careful. And when you get on some of these apps, and guys are like, oh, do you bareback? And I'm just like, no, you know? And they're like, oh, but they give all sorts of reasons. They say, oh, either they're like, oh, but it's so much better, or you can live with HIV now. I'm just like, okay, maybe you can live with HIV?
You can live with cancer.
Well, no, but okay, you can live with HIV now. You won't die. Yeah. But I now, you know, actually, it's only not so long ago that I had my first experience of a good friend of mine getting HIV.
Was he gay or straight or bisexual or pansexual?
He's gay.
Okay.
purely gay, and he made some mistakes, and he is living. Yes, he's getting the medication, but I wouldn't say it's a fucking party. I mean, if I can not get HIV, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
You know, if it was a question of, oh, you can never have sex again, or you can get HIV, and you can live with it, well, then maybe I'd say, okay, fuck it. I'm not going to live my life as a celibate. I'm going to have sex and then I'll live with it. But it's actually relatively easy to not get it.
Yes.
You know, get some good condoms. They make really nice ones now.
Sell it to them.
Get some good lube, you know?
It's true. Going back to the whole HIV and AIDS thing, there are a lot, and when I say this I mean a lot, because I did a questionnaire before we had this chat online. I'm not going to say where. A lot of the comments were that bisexual people are the reason that HIV and AIDS are spreading. If it was just one community, gay, straight, it would never have spread so much in the world. What do you think?
That's just stupid. Now, okay, let's put a little parentheses on that. There's the whole down low community, which is, that's not bisexual. It's not necessarily bisexual. It's just guys who don't accept what they are. So it's not about them being bisexual. It's about them not accepting to be public about their sexuality, which on one hand I can understand. I just spent a lot of time telling you about how I've gone in and out of the closet, but are those the people not using condoms? I don't know. Not necessarily. I mean, some of the guys that have told me they don't want to use condoms are obviously 100% gay. You know, they just don't want to use condoms.
Yeah. What do you like about a woman's body, and what do you like about a male's body?
So that's actually, like I said, because I did grow up conditioned in the heterosexual world,